Hey, welcome back to A Few Bits of News. I'm TB Sliver, and today we're going over a few bits of news from the gaming industry and adjacent areas. We're still recovering from the onslaught that was E3 and Summer Games Fest, so everyone is still scrabbling about for news to find in the bits of rubble. I think it may be this way for the rest of the summer, as we build up to the Tokyo Game Show in September, but we'll try to find some interesting bits of news throughout the rest of the summer. Guild Wars 2, you know, that other MMO that people sometimes talk about, has been quietly working on its content for some time. Well, it's been 9 years for the game now. It survived budget cuts, staff layoffs, and the media not knowing who's running the whole thing. But one thing that we did know about was its worst kept secret, End of Dragons, the game's next expansion, was planned for the end of the year. That has been pushed back until 2022 sadly, citing that they need a little bit more time to just deliver a good vision of Cantha, a region of the game not seen since the original Guild Wars Factions update. In the same blog post, the team welcomed back an old member, former game director Colin Johansson, who is going to co-lead ArenaNet, putting a face to the company we've not had for some time. Colin left ArenaNet for Amazon in 2016 to create the doomed Crucible, which famously was that game that was released, then went back into beta, only to be cancelled by Amazon. Also returning with Colin is Josh Davis, who will be heading up the live operations team. Josh has stated that the game will renew its focus on the game's World v World content, that being its mass PvP system, and is working on upgrading the game to DX11, which will have an opt-in beta later this year. For those wanting a first look at the next expansion though, there will be a livestream on July 27th. There was also other Guild Wars 2 news. A returning boss is about to appear in-game July 13th, the Twisted Marionette. Those who remember the first Living World season will remember Scarlet and her invasion of the Lion's Arch, content which sadly can never return as it remade the city and the game in the process. Well, the Mists remembers, and it tasks players to return to the Eye of the North to stop this memory from returning to reality. After the bonus event has ended for that week, this content will become a permanent squad mission in-game. For those of you that wish to relive the twisted terror of that superweapon, we've put the trailer down below. Remember that time that Games Media predicted the Nintendo Switch Pro that year? Which year, do you ask? Yes. Well, it seems the monkey's paw has answered the call, as this past week Nintendo casually dropped a trailer for the Nintendo Switch OLED model. This version of the console handheld hybrid's main feature is the 7-inch OLED screen, making use of the extra space the original system had with that black border. The other features included in this model are a wider stand on its back, with multiple positions for tabletop mode, which because of this, the speakers have been moved to the front, so you'll also get better sound, and the system has a boosted internal storage of 64GB. The dock has had a major change too. Replacing its internal USB port is a LAN port, removing the need to rely on Wi-Fi or use of a USB dongle. During the first few hours of the announcement, Games Media reported this dock would upgrade the quality of games up to 4K on TV. Turns out this isn't true, and it seems like a few outlets got confused, believing their own rumour mill they've been building over the years. Interestingly enough, the dock can also be used with the original system, although not sold separately as of yet, and the reverse is also true according to the site's FAQ, so at least you can have a spare dock hooked up in another room. Clearly, the OLED version isn't the Pro they predicted, so any fears of a new 3DS situation with exclusive content for that format is unlikely to happen, although this new version currently has a higher price point of £310 on storefronts as a pre-order price, although no official price in the UK has been set, as it's due out October 8th this year. In other Switch news, its latest firmware update adds a very welcome feature. If your SD card or internal storage is full during an update, you will then be given the option of deleting the old update data, allowing space for the new update. Shame some other platforms don't have this. We make it a point in these videos not to comment on leaks or rumours, mostly because we try to avoid the clickbaity stuff, but mainly so we are safe from any legal stuff. And every other month we'd be talking about the Switch Pro confirmation if we did. This time it's a little different, as a leak was quickly semi-confirmed by the publisher. The leak in question is about the next Assassin's Creed game, or more importantly, its future of the IP. The leak itself was from Jason Schreier and Bloomberg, stating that Assassin's Creed Infinity, the game's name, would be the IP's biggest project to date, as it will not be just a game but a live service platform, linking multiple AC games together with Infinity being its hub. More importantly, as Jason continues, he states that both main studios Ubisoft Montreal and Quebec will be working together on this, marking a large shake-up of the current development cycle of the series as the teams alternated between teams for each of the current games. Not soon after the article was published, Ubisoft posted up an article sort of confirming this. Assassin's Creed Infinity is the current codename of the project, and both teams are working together. Julien Leferrier, who has worked on the series since 2007, is senior producer, with Jonathan Dumont and Clint Hocking as creative directors. Jonathan being world director on Syndicate before becoming creative director on Odyssey, and Clint being the game designer and scriptwriter on the original Splinter Cell before becoming creative director on Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, Far Cry 2, and most recently Watch Dogs Legion. The live service part of the leak isn't mentioned, and it's understandable as the term most of the time has people running for the hills. However, Krem seems to think it may work for this instance. You see, Assassin's Creed has always had a meta-narrative set in the modern era of the series. Desmond was the key role initially, but then was expanded to the Initiates program and the ISU. However, in recent games, this has never really been expanded upon, and only really mentioned as a setup, a narrative conceit for the next plot point in the current game, or put into external media like comics or that movie. The focus has always been in the past. With this project, the series could use this as a way to continue telling the tales of old, and yet have each game within this service unlock more content for that meta-narrative. Sadly, all this is speculation at this point, and the project is not set to complete until 2024 at the earliest. We'll keep you posted. Doom Eternal is losing a feature, something it never actually got. It's Invasion Mode. Announced at QuakeCon 2018, the game and invasions were shown off to the public. The mode was akin to Dark Souls PvP, where a player could inhabit another player's game as one of the minions of hell and attempt to kill them. 2 years, in 2020, later, the game launched with no sign of the mode, but the extra fluff like cosmetics remained, so people assumed it's on its way. This year, we find out that isn't happening in an update of the status of the game id Software made on Twitter. In a quick line, they stated that the Invasion mode will be replaced with a Horde mode instead. No other details were given, but QuakeCon is in August, so we're expecting more then. Just a quick one, a Summer Games Done quick one. God, Krem, even that one goes a little too far. It's speedrunning. No, wait, Krem! Anyway, as we reported it starting last week, SGDQ has now ended. As expected, the bigger donations hit last, ending the total close to $2.9 million for Doctors Without Borders. Despite its success going online only, expanding the event to speedrunners that normally can't attend the event, the GDQ team is hoping for an in-person event with Awesome Games Done Quick on January 9th, 2022. More details on that will appear on their site soon. Final Fantasy XIV is in a perfect storm right now, with Shadowbringers being heavily praised by not only its player base, but that of the wider Final Fantasy fanbase in general. That's caused certain other MMORPG players to peek over the fence to see just how green the grass is anyway. That success is showing as the game broke its Steam concurrent records again, as it was reported last week reaching 47,542 players, seeing as before Shadowbringers launch had it at 41,200 around June 2019. As of recording, Krem checked again, and that number had peaked at 52,771 as of Saturday. Krem also points out that this is not the real total of concurrent players, as the game uses both of its own accounts on PC outside of Steam, and the game cross-plays with PlayStation. What is known is that during their 7th 14-hour livestream last weekend is that pre-order numbers of its next expansion Endwalker is up 180% over Shadowbringers numbers. Considering the game's sales and numbers grew to profit before the release of Shadowbringers in Q1 of 2019, something that rarely happens with MMORPGs, this is nothing but great news for the game. Final Fantasy XIV is known to be a record breaker for a long time, as of 2017 for holding the record for the longest end credits in a video game at 1 hour and 38 minutes, and the most original pieces of music in a video game, which at the time was 384, a number which has grown vastly over the years. Did you know that the critically acclaimed MMORPG Final Fantasy XIV has a No, Krem, no, I am not doing that meme! This week we have a couple of releases. First up, on 13th of July, we have F1 2021, the latest incarnation of the Formula 1 racing game, and on 16th of July, we have The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword HD, a new HD remake of the original game from the Wii. And that's it for this week's A Few Bits of News. Tune in next Monday for more news across the gaming industry, and as always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, as well as hit that bell to get notified of the next video. If you'd like to chat with us live, then come join me every Tuesday, Wednesday and Friday evening over on Twitch, link in the description. Otherwise, we'll see you below in the comments.